I'm going to trace through this mystery method here so that I can demonstrate some ArrayList method mechanics. So as you can see, this mystery method takes in an array list of integers, and in the method body we have a traversal of the list and some calls on the remove and add methods. So you can see the traversal starts at 0 and then it goes until we reach the size of the list. So I'm going to start with this array list as input. And so this is what's getting passed in as my list parameter. I start out with an index of 0, and 0 is less than 4, which is my current size of my list. And so I have to remove the value at index 0 and store that into a variable called element value. So I'm going to write out element value here, and the value at index 0 is currently 5, so that's what I store there. Now I've changed my list with that remove, so this is now what my list looks like. I check to see if element value is even. It's not even, so I'm done with this iteration of the for loop. My index is now 1. All right. So now I'm going to remove the value at index 1. Now remember, this is what my list currently looks like. And so when I remove the value at index 1, that's still 5. Okay, so element value holds the value 5. It's not even, so I'm done with that iteration. Of course, the removal has changed the state of my list. So now I have 2, 2 in there. I increment my index to a 2. And then I do my test. So is 2 less than the size of the list? Well, the size of the list is now 2, right? Because we have this method call on size, we're constantly evaluating what the current size of the list is. We fail the test, and so this particular run is over. So let's see what happens with a slightly longer list here. Again, I'm going to write out what my index is. We start out at 0 in the for loop. The first thing that we do in the body of the loop is that we remove the value at index 0 currently, and we store that into element value. I'll abbreviate it to EV. And so the value at index 0 currently is 3. So I remove the 3. That means I'm left with 5, 8, 9, and 2. And 3 is not even, so I get to my next iteration. My index is now 1. And so now I'm looking at index 1, which is an 8, because remember we've removed the 3 and shifted all of the values over. So I look at this 8 here and I remove it. So element value is now an 8, and my list is now different. It's 5, 9, 2. I check to see if element value is even. It is. And so now I have this call on list.add index. Okay? And so now this is an appending add. And what I'm doing is I'm going to add the value of index into my list. This may seem a little confusing, but since this is an array list of integers, I can add an int value into that list. So I'm going to use the same list that I had here during the iteration, and I'm just going to go ahead and add in the value of the index, which again is 1. All right, so I'm done with that iteration, and so my index is now 2. And so that means that I'm going to remove the value at index 2, 0, 1, 2. That's the 2 here. And I'm going to store that in element value. So let me update the list, and I'm running out of space, so I'm just going to do it over here. So now I have the values 5, 9, and 1 inside of my list. Okay? And so I just removed the 2 and stored an element value. That is even, and so I'm now going to add the index to the end of my list. So the index is 2, so again that means that my list no longer ends here. I have to add a 2 at the end. Okay, I'm done with this iteration. My index is now 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to remove this 2 again, which I just added, and store it in element value. It is even, so that means, oops, wait, so hold on. I forgot to remove it, right? Got to be very careful with this kind of thing here. So I've got to make sure I remove it. Let me actually write it out as a new list here. So 591, okay, it's even, so now I have to add the index, which is 3. So I expand on my list here, and I have a 3 here. All right, now my index increments to 4, and I check to see whether 4 is less than list.size. Oh, the size of my list, excuse me, is 4, so I fail the test, and I'm done with this method call. So this is the final state of that list.